So I didn't want to be nosy, but I just couldn't help but see that you have over 50 items in your Amazon checkout. Before you click checkout and before you begin to scroll and get all these items and get excited because it's payday, I think it would be really helpful for you to consider these 7 steps, especially because we're getting to payday. Stay tuned. Hi there, so before we actually get into this video, I would like to remind you that subscription is free, so make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and let's get this conversation going. So hello and welcome back to this channel. My name is Ruth. This is Something Worth Seeing, where we help others help themselves, and today's video is a finance video about what I do on payday. So when payday comes, even the day before payday, weeks before payday, the usual instinct is that we all have had that list, you know, that Amazon checkout list where we have items that we're planning to buy before the money even hits our pocket. But today I'm going to tell you, bro, sis, resist that urge. Remember, before you go into that checkout, that there's so many other things that you should do in order to help you manage your finances. So today I'm going to share with you 7 things that I do on payday. So before we actually get into this video, I just wanted to say that if you're new to this video and you feel like when it comes to finance or things that this is something that is just isn't you, you know, just remember that we all start from somewhere. And I actually remember when I was 15, I would say I was a hustler. I remember getting my first job at 16. Even at school, I used to sell in secondary school. So for me, the problem wasn't, you know, making money or having a job or things like that. My issue was actually putting money aside. Anytime I tried, it felt that, you know, I wanted to go back into my savings, or I just really didn't really have a clear understanding of what savings were and how to be quite disciplined with my money. And I honestly feel like this has taken a bit of time for me to be more conscious. And I'd say YouTube has been a great help, reading as well, and actually rewiring my brain in terms of my relationship with money. And I can honestly say that being wise with my money has definitely worked out for good. Even though last year I had a job, so I was doing a master's and I also worked as a support worker. And I just really saw that even with a low salary, only working 2 days a week on a low salary, I was able to save up a 4 months rent in probably 4 months or something like that. I can't remember how long it is. And I just saw the power of discipline. And even then, because of the job and COVID, you know, they were trying to reduce staff. And then it got to a point where I just didn't have a job. And I was just like, how am I going to pay for my rent? My tuition fee was covered, but I needed to pay for my rent. And I was just so amazed how just cultivating this habit of saving, cultivating this habit of discipline, I was able to cover my rent for 4 months. And then the rest of it was literally a miracle. So I can honestly testify that saving and also having control of your money, having a budget, and these things are very essential, especially for the rainy days. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what I do on payday, and I'm definitely each and every time educating myself in terms of finances, and these may change, but this is what I've been finding helpful for me over these months, especially starting this new job and wanting to really have control over my finances and to think more about the future, to think about, you know, things I want to do. So these are principles that I do. So stay tuned and you will hear my 7 steps. So first step for me is putting 10% and giving 10% to God. So I'm a Christian and I believe in paying tithe. So step number 1 is that from my gross income, I will pay my tithe, and my tithe tends to be paid online these days, and I just pay it to a church, or I will pay to someone who is in full-time ministry. So that is the first thing I do. On payday, when I get paid, the first thing I do is pay my tithe. Second step that I do is Recently, as I've been saying, I've been working, starting a new job as well, and moving locations. And of course, moving locations takes a bit of your money. And as I said before, that I wasn't really working. So I'm building myself back up again. So step number 2 is when I get paid on payday, I transfer money to my emergency fund. And some of you watching this may have heard of Dave Ramsey, and baby step number 1 on his criteria is to actually save $1,000, but because I'm English, I just ended up saying saving £1,000. And I thank God, because today I was able to reach that goal. I was actually going towards June. I was going to do 200 every month, but you know, because of things that happen, I was actually able to save this quicker to the time. So this month I definitely put money to my emergency fund, and this was a goal of 1,000. So now that this goal is reached, when it's my next payday, I'm now going to be working towards saving about 3 to 6 months living costs in my emergency fund. So my first goal has been done in saving 1k, and next thing I'm going to do is save towards my emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of my living costs. So step number 1 is pay my tithe. Step number 2 is I transfer money to my emergency fund. Step number 3 is that I tend to have several accounts. As you can see, I have this emergency fund. And step number 3 is that I put money aside towards something I'm working on. So this could be something I'm working on or something I want to do. So for example, go on holiday, or if I'm saving up, let's just say for a camera, or saving up for a course, or saving up for just something. So I tend to have this quite separate, because if you have this with your savings account, you're going to be going back in and out. So I generally have put money aside to something that I'm currently working for. So step number 1, pay my tithe. Step number 2, emergency fund. And step number 3, I put money aside to something that I'm working on currently. So step number 4 has been very helpful for me, actually. So step number 4 is in the main account where I get paid, I then transfer my bills to another account. So this could be, I take out the money of my rent. So my rent is the same amount of money each month, and I take that out and put it into another account I have. And I also take out my phone bill. I honestly, because I'm in an all-inclusive place, so my rent is included of gas bill, internet, all of that. So I just transfer it to one place, and I also transfer my phone bill. So I'm in a stage where I don't really have that much bills. All the bills that I have is my phone bill, and also my house, electric, and all of that is all inclusive. If you have other bills that you have, this could be something that you do. Just take out all money that you have for these bills and put it to a separate account. And I honestly find this helpful, because I honestly, when I see my account after that, that means that the money there tends to be the money that I've left in terms of my budget, which will go on later on. So step number 5 for me, it has been a very important one, and this is basically to go online and to check if I've been overtaxed, or if I've paid the right tax amount in terms of how much I should pay based on my salary. And the way I do this is I basically go online, and there's a website that is so helpful. It's basically called Take Home Salary, and I'll basically walk you through this as this video is going on. So right now I'm just basically going to put a fake salary, not my own salary, just to see what this means. And on this you can basically say, you know, let's just say your annual salary for the year is £2,000. So you type that in, and then also to this you can add in how much pension you'll be contributing to. So I'm just going to say pension is 5%, put that in, and then you can also touch other buttons. So if you've taken out a master's loan, or if you're taking out student loan, you can also do that accordingly. So after you've done all these things, you can then calculate it and then look to see how much you should be paid that month. And for me, I've honestly found this very helpful, especially last year I was overtaxed because I had a job at my university, I had the support worker role, and then I had another job here and there. So because I had so many jobs, even when I left this job, they hadn't given back the P60. And a P60 is something that we have in the UK at the end of a tax year, but you can send it early in when you have basically left the job. But if they don't send it, it means that your tax code isn't going to be the right one. So this has been helpful because during last year I realized I was overtaxed, and then I just called HM Revenue, and that did take quite a while for it to come back. But it's very important to know if you're being overtaxed, and this generally applies if you have a salary from a company. If you're self-employed, it's very different and you have a different procedure. Step number 5 is that I check if I have been taxed accurately or rightly. So step number 6 is a lovely one that has really been helping me, is to set up a budget. So in my budget, it will include many of the things that I've said. So in my budget, I will write, how much tithe I'm paying. I'll also write my offering, so things that I'm giving to the Lord or to a ministry. I could also write in here, my travel, for example, going to work and coming back, write a budget for that, write a budget for my groceries, write a budget for, if it's someone's birthday that month, just write a budget for that. If you're going out to eat, write a budget for that. Literally write a budget for literally mostly everything. Your budget for your savings should also be there, and maybe also a budget for development. So this month I actually added a section for development, and the money for this would be used in terms of growth and development in a certain area. So dear friends, make sure you put a budget, and that is so helpful, especially on payday. And the last and final tip is basically what I do on this day. It may not be on payday, sometimes it's before. I tend to review my last month's spending, and I find this helpful to literally write down all that you've spent. Sometimes it's a bit harder to do that. So what I might do is I just review my bank account and literally look at what I've spent over the last month from the last payday to now. And when you've looked at it, you can be like, girl, bro, that thing you spent over there was not the one. And then you'll think to yourself, I'm not going to do that again. So it's very important for you when it's payday to review your spendings before you get that money, because you're able to evaluate, reflect and think, was that a good spend? Oh, wow, that was a really good spend. I'm going to keep that up. So we need to be having control over our finances. Having control over our finances is a great thing because it helps us not only to be disciplined, but it helps our health and well-being. And I'll also say to you, you can start this even on a low salary. I would say I'm not earning the biggest in the world, but I would say these principles, I honestly want to start them now, because by God's grace, when things start to grow and develop, these will be principles that I have, and these will be skills that I can develop as I grow in all areas of my life. And I'll also recommend, if you're thinking of how to save money, I've got a video of how I saved money on such a low income. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye.